11, I best demonstrate my beliefs by attraction rather than promotion. I show my beliefs and principles by walking the walk and not just talking the talk. This tradition assumes I have beliefs, principles, and that I act from them, which is a big assumption. And I do as a result of working the steps. My belief system is not a static thing, though, because as I continue trudging the road of happy destiny, more is being revealed. I'm getting new ahas daily, letting go of old ones and adopting new ones. Sometimes the new ideas conflict with the old ideas, and the process of transformation can be ugly and even painful. But I don't grow in my comfort zone. There's a quote in one of our books that says, ships are safe in harbors, but that's not what ships are for. There is a prayer that has hit our area like a storm, and I've been saying it in for several areas of my life the last several months, and there have been some dramatic ahas. And the prayer is, God, please let me set aside everything and I did it for this workshop, so I'll tell you what I said for this workshop. I said, God, please let me set aside everything I think I know about you and about me and about relationships and the traditions for an open mind and a new experience of you and of me and of the traditions and of the relationships. Thank you. And I'll tell you what, when I tell God I'm willing to be open-minded, next thing I know is I find myself open-minded and I find new ideas coming to me. If I wait to act, to live my life until I know the real truth, the final answers, I'll miss it all. So while some of my truths are immutable, life is good, the universe is a friendly place, God loves you and me all the time, no matter what. This came to pass. Did you know that? This didn't come to stay? This came to pass. Whatever it is, good or bad, it came to pass. What a thought. There are no accidents, and I don't believe there are any accidents. Others of my old ideas are in constant flux, and that's good. You know, most of my old ideas today I don't know I have until I start getting uncomfortable. And then I realize I bumped into an old idea somewhere, like with that book. But the unfolding can be 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, and sometimes my life just isn't all that attractive, even to me. I still sometimes tell you about the thoughtful, brilliant, complicated, loving thing I plan to do for your approval, and then I beat myself up when I don't do it. Then I get to share with someone how I'm feeling and what I did and didn't do and how unattractive my life looks to me. In doing so, the power is removed from the problem and I'm free to demonstrate the solution. It's uncomfortable for me to be in a relationship with people who continually look for validation by telling me how wonderful they are, how perfect their lives are, or even how miserable they are and how much life sucks and how everybody's picking on them. Both have the same goal: pay attention to me. And these folks are probably sharing their beliefs, but it's not attractive. Neither of those views can be, I believe, real. I'm attracted to people who tell me the truth about themselves, even when it's unattractive and even when it looks perfect. I love to be in a meeting with somebody who will say the truth about what's going on with them, and the next week come to you with the solution they had, and not yet another problem. But the solution. You know, there's a lot of times in the big book, Bill says the thought occurred, which is an interesting line. The thought occurred. Where'd that thought come from, you think? I don't think it came from Bill. I think the thought occurred. And I want to give myself room to have the thought occur. Do I have my own belief system? Am I true to it? Am I ever embarrassed or humiliated by my friends or family members' actions? Wow, that one is one I continually practice. He's not doing it to me, he's just doing it. They are not looking at what he's doing and thinking I'm a bad person. Am I guilty of promotion of myself and my ideas rather than attraction? Do I call it to anyone's attention when they're not living the way I think they should? I still have the look, and I catch myself, I'm sure. Somebody said to me one day, I don't remember, it was either my sponsor or my husband, one of them said, they didn't even look at me, and they said, quit rolling your eyes. Because they knew that I wasn't going to say anything about it, but I go, oh. It's a statement. I have just made a statement. How do I feel when someone criticizes the way I'm trying to live? Do I share my experience, strength, and hope when requested, but only when requested? A lot of times people will come up to me and they'll say, well, this is blah, 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 and then they wait. They didn't ask me to give them an opinion. They didn't ask me for anything. They didn't ask me. They just did that blah, 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 blah thing. And I've learned that I got to wait for them to tell me what they need before I offer my opinion. Sometimes it's like my daughter asked me, I just need to listen. That's all I need to do. All right, little children, it is 3 o'clock, and it's going to be your turn. We are going to be, here you might actually get a break. We can do 3 to 3:30 in your group, and then 3:30 to 3:40 is a break. When we come back, we're going to do, just so you can think about this, we're going to have one last tradition, as you may have noticed, 12. Chris, where's Chris? One tradition. And then you're going to meet one more time, and then, just briefly, you're going to meet one more time, talk about that last tradition. And then I'm going to ask the spokesperson for each group, for each table, to come up and share from the microphone. Yes, you are going to have to talk from the microphone. Just find your friend and talk to your friend, though. You don't have to talk to everybody in the room if you don't want to. Just find one friend and talk to your friend about what's happened for your group in the workshop today. So, now it's your turn. Tailing off to the end of this, and my gauge, when I asked my people to read this workshop, one of them said, well, I guess the real judge of it is going to be how the people react to it. And I said, I'm happy to tell you that I'm recovered enough that the real judge of this is not how people react to it. God knows I have sold my best stuff sometimes to a room full of people who never moved. They just sat and stared at me, while I did it. And I remember the first time that happened, and I went home, called my friend Bev B. Her stuff is over here, and I called Beverly, and I was like, Beverly, this was terrible. I hope nobody ever asked me to go do the staff to speak again because it was just terrible. These people just stared at me. What am I, like a vegetable or something? Blah, blah, blah. And she said, where did you go? And I told her the name of the group where I went to. She said, oh, don't worry. They're all just painted in their chairs there. And the truth of the matter is you and I have a relationship. We have a relationship with you there and me here. One of the things that makes a speaker situation work is if we're both engaged in the relationship. If we're not both engaged in the relationship, neither one of us is going to have a good time. What the speaker says is going to fall on deaf ears, and you're not going to hear anything. The fact is, you all came here invested today. You came invested. We are both here for the same reason. We are here for our mutual benefit, which means we have a very healthy relationship. I've heard some things from you between sessions, and I've watched you. My gauge of whether or not this is the way I wanted it to be is if you and I had a good time. And we've had a good time. And I cannot tell you what that does to my little heart. Terry and I were talking, who's still selling tapes, by the way, of which I don't get a cut, but he's my friend, and he's boy's trying to support himself. And this, toys for the grandchildren. Think of it that way. Luckily, he has a pension, because this would never support him otherwise. I sometimes, it's part of this 12th tradition that I feel like I need to share with you. When somebody goes someplace, when I go someplace to talk in another part of the country, the deal that is made is that the conference will pay my travel expenses, my lodging, and my food. And if I have to have parking, if I have to pay for parking at home, they pay for parking. That's what they pay for. That's all they pay for. I'm not in any way monetarily repaid or any of that. I mean, there's no thing, there's no stipend that goes with this deal. And that's not what I'm here for. Because there isn't enough money in the world that would give me what I got today with you all. And last night at dinner and tonight at dinner, and by the way, you have one of the most wonderful committees on the planet. I've had a lot of committees. Jennifer, who's off being frustrated someplace, is missing. So you can tell her what I said if you want to. I told her when I got here, I said, I'm going to be kind of sad when this is over because she's called me on such a regular basis. It just does my heart good to hear the sound of her voice. The whole deal has been a great deal for me, and I'm glad to know it has worked in some measure for you. The 12th tradition, tell those people to be quiet. It's Jennifer. Yeah, turn red, Jennifer. We got it. Okay. We've been talking about you. I understand. I'm trying to pick up the slack, girl. Well, the 12th tradition, just like the first, is pretty much for me exactly the same as Bill wrote it the first time. Anonymity. Have you noticed, I don't know if y'all do this at your group, but we go around the room and we read tradition. Somebody, we start with one, and every person reads a tradition, or every person reads a step, and inevitably it's a newcomer who gets 11 and 12, where they got to deal with the anonymity. It's inevitable. You can tell how long they've been in whether or not they can say anonymity. Anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles above personalities. AA tradition says principles before personalities. I've tried to make that an issue. But of course I have. I don't believe it is. On second thought. Amen, sister, amen. Personalities, people, come and go. That's the good news and the bad news. The miracle, and there are many, but the miracle is that by practicing these traditions in all my affairs, the principles of service, unity, love, action, integrity, trust, independence, interdependence, flexibility, respect, and positive attitudes continue to be building blocks of my new life as an intelligent agent, a spearhead of God's ever-advancing creation. Oh, I love that. I just love that. If you don't know, it's right out of the big book, but I love that. That's what I'm here to do. I am God's intelligence agent. That is heady stuff when you think about it, But that just means I'm smarter than my dog most of the time. He does loving better than I do sometimes. I just do thinking better than he does. The only way I can grow according to these principles in my life is by being fully present in every relationship with God, others, and myself, by being honest, open, and loving. The promise is that we all progress toward our best selves when I live this way. And the family, work, friendship, and love situations are bound to improve. We say that at every meeting, too. The family situation is bound to improve as we apply the Al-Anon ideas. And then it says something about living with alcoholism is too much for most of us. I always want to say, would the one of you it was not too much for, please stand up and identify yourself. What are you doing here? God. It is too much for all of us. One more time in our attempt to just not rock the boat, we go, well, it's just too much for most of us. We don't want to tell you all it's too much for you, but we wouldn't be here if it wasn't too much for all of us. And what I know is, they told me when I was new that if I was a better me in my relationship with my mother, that my relationship with my daughter would improve. And I didn't understand how that works, except I do today. And that is that I'm working on me in relationships, and every relationship is going to improve, whether it's the family situation or the work situation or the friendship situation, whatever it is. This tradition reminds me to recognize these principles. God, at work in people, rather than focusing on how what they do affects me. I told somebody today, I thought I was going to talk about this later, but apparently not. When I was a new driving teenager, I had 2 jobs. One was they bought me the car so I could take my siblings to school and pick them up in the afternoon. And the other reason, apparently, was to do the donut run on Sunday morning after church. And we'd been going there for years, but it wasn't until I started driving that I actually read the sign they had in the window at the donut shop. And the sign in the window said, "As you ramble on through life, brother, whatever be your goal, keep your eye upon the donut and not upon the hole." And I managed to spend most of the rest of my life before I got here looking at the hole, making it about what I wasn't getting and what I was afraid was going to be missing, and thinking the donut ought to be a biscuit. And it's a donut. I don't know why you had to know that, but you had to know that. For me, maybe the single most thing that helped me in my relationship with God was the knowledge that God is a principle. God is not a person. God is a principle to me, and it's a principle that embodies every other principle there is. All of Bill's words in the big book, I could say, yeah. But God is a principle, not a personality, which makes it so much easier for me to deal with. Not a vengeful God, not an angry God, not even a forgiving God, because God never judges me in the first place. It just doesn't happen. I'm the one that won't forgive me, not God. My opinion. Miracles, they say, are the places where God chooses to remain anonymous. And I actually believe that's everywhere. I believe God would be perfectly God and could be anonymous and never have to let you know what he did, or she did, or they did, whatever. At night, I do a written 11th step. Now, I'm going to tell you this, and I don't want you going home saying, I need to do that. This is not the thing. This is what works for me. And my sponsor, it used to be I'd get those little readers, those daily readers like Courage to Change and ODAD and now this one. And other little daily readers, people would give me these little books, and pretty soon I'd have this stack of books that I thought I had to read every morning. Had to read every one of them. Which one do you choose not to read? I don't know. So I guess I have to read them all because, I got that FMS thing again, afraid I might miss something, and it could be in that book. Went to a conference with my sponsor one time, and practically had to have a trailer to drag all the books with me. And I thought she'd be so impressed with how many of them I was reading in the morning. And I drug my books in there, and she just looked at the stack, and she said, "How long does that take you?" Well, it takes me a long time, It may take me quite a while to read all those books. And the truth of the matter is, I wasn't remembering what I was reading. Because my eye was on the whole, I was thinking I just got to get through these books. That was my goal, was to get through the books. And she said, "Honey, the thing is, you read until you get your message for the day. Could be in the first book, might not be in any of the books. But when you get the message, shut the books up. You got it. There isn't another message or a better message, or it's it. Just go with that." And what I've done for a lot of years is this 11th step written work at night. It has changed over the years. She gave me permission to take out what doesn't work and add new stuff if I want to add new stuff. And I will tell you what I currently do right this minute. The first thing I write at night is a truth. It sounds like a lot of stuff, but it isn't a lot of stuff. It's just, this is the process. It takes me a lot of words to tell you. What can I say? Yeah, words are my thing. First thing I write is a truth. What did I learn today? There's no such thing as a wasted day or wasted time unless I didn't learn anything. And the only way I'm not going to learn it is if I wasn't present today. So I write down a truth. What did I learn today? One day I learned how to program the VCR. I was pretty impressed. That's what I learned that day. One day I learned that I cannot have iced tea an hour and a half before I go to bed. Or I'm going to be up most of the night. Some days they're big, heady truths, that I've learned. Some big thing I heard in a meeting, and I write that down. The next thing I write down is a success. Before this program, I used to beat myself up to sleep at night. I'd lay in bed and I'd think about all the stupid things I'd done and hadn't done, and stupid things I'd said and hadn't said, and how different it was going to be tomorrow. He's going to say that, and I'm going to say that, and he's going to say that, and I'm going to say that. And that was how I put myself to bed. And I'd wake up in the morning, and before I even opened my eyes, the current crisis du jour was waiting for me. And the committee would say something like, well, you didn't get much sleep last night, did you? It's going to be a tough day on you all day long. Boy, I don't know how you're going to do it. This is going to be pretty hard. And that's the way I'd get out of bed in the morning. I finally told my sponsor about it, and he asked me what I was doing at night, and I said, nothing, And she said, do you watch the news before you go to bed? Well, sometimes. Stop watching the news. Tell me what the self-talk. So that we were talking about the 3 A's, awareness, acceptance, action. I have to be aware of what's going on in my head. And I heard my head saying those things to me. And I told her, and she said, whatever you put in your head before you go to sleep is what you wake up in the morning times 10, because the committee does not sleep. They work with what you feed them. And they will be ready in the morning to give it back to you. So what I do at night as my 11th step, little inventory thing, tends to be a lot of positives. The second thing I write is a success. What did I do today that I feel pretty darn good about? Something I've been putting off, part of a bigger project. Maybe I got the laundry finished, finally, and I can put that in there. Maybe I didn't say the hurtful words to him that I really, really wanted to say, and that was a success. The next thing I write down and have for about a year and a half or 2 years now is for my body. And I write down that day what I did for my body, not to my body. I don't need any help with that kind of stuff, but for my body, what did I do? Maybe I took a nap, maybe I went to the dentist, maybe I did one of my fabulous little exercises. I get to write it down. What did I do for my body today? Because, I'll tell myself that I'm not taking good care of myself. And then I go back and I look at my journal, and the fact is I did something good for that body every day. The next thing I write down are the miracles, the places where I saw God at work. I generally see God at work in your life. Very hard for me to see God at work in my life, but I can see God in your life. And I'll write down the miracles I saw that happened that day. Miracles happen every day. I only miss them because I'm not looking. So it's part of my practice of being aware and being present in the situation. The next thing I write down, I've done a whole bunch of different things, but right now I'm at the place where I say, God, and then I give him a list of things that I think that I'm worrying about, that I think need some attention. And I know that isn't true, because I know there aren't, God knows exactly what's going on. I don't have to point things out. Hello, are you paying attention over here? Or are you paying attention over here? Yeah, that's God's job, But it's more for me to put that stuff down before I go to sleep, and not go to sleep thinking about, my dad's health or somebody I sponsor's issues or whatever it is. I just write it all down. And then the last thing I write are what I call my sig feels, my significant feelings. How did I feel today? Would I feel okay today, or did I have a bad day? I don't know about you, but my tendency is, if I don't feel good, it's always been bad, and it's always going to be bad, especially if it's a depressive kind of a bad feel. I can get lost in that in a heartbeat. What I get to do is and if I've had some health issues, and so I've written down in my sig feels how I physically felt that day. Did I feel good most of the day? Did I not feel? When did I start feeling bad? It's been sort of an inventory process for me to kind of retrace what was going on with my body. But what it gives me is the opportunity to look back and see, last time I felt crummy, how long did it last? It lasted a week and a half. It had a beginning and a middle and an end, or it lasted 3 days, or heavens, it wasn't even there the next morning. But I need to be aware of my significant feelings, and I need to write them down. And I believe what I go to sleep with at that point is not only peace, but a little closer to the God of my understanding, a little closer to being who it is I want to be. Okay. Do I confuse the message with the messenger? Yours. Do I treat others one way in public and another way in private? Can I and do I do thoughtful things for others anonymously? Can I and do I do good things for myself without having to mention it to others? That's hard. Let me tell you what I did. Or the one that gets me in trouble is, let me tell you what I'm going to do. That's the one that gets me in trouble. It reminds me of the guy who thought he might have a drinking problem, and so he called AA, and when they answered the phone, they said Alcoholics Anonymous, and he hung up the phone, and he felt better because he'd done something about his drinking. And when I tell you stuff, it feels better. It's almost like doing it. Not quite, but it's almost like, it's like people who are in the middle of a fourth step, or should be, but instead they want to tell you, all this stuff that's going on. They don't want to write it down. They just want to tell you about it. And they feel better after they told you because they've let out some of the steam. And those are the people I have to say, you know what, I've heard that. You've said that before. That must be a real issue for you. I think it would be better if we didn't talk about it. You apparently have some work to do. Instead of allowing, they got to get uncomfortable. I'm just going to have to let them be uncomfortable, Can I do thoughtful things anonymously? Yes, but sometimes it's really hard because some of the best things I do are very personally mine, and it's kind of obvious when somebody sees it that I did it, whatever it is. But I've been known to have people come to me and go, oh, did you send me that? Or did you do la la la? And I'll go, wow, did you get such a cool thing? And I just don't answer the question. How can I practice selflessness when I hear this is a selfish program? What has helped me the most in placing principles above personalities? And that is, number one, it is the non-emotional involvement I feel with a principle, because I know that's a healthier place for me to be, and the idea that God is a principle and not a personality. Do I trust that when I follow spiritual principles, the solution will be the greatest good for the greatest number? And if I am not at that point of trust, by the end of the 12th tradition, I need to go back to the first tradition and start over again, because that's the issue I have. I do believe that if I follow the spiritual principles, the solution will be the highest for everybody concerned. No matter who complains, no matter who feels bad, no matter whatever the deal is, it's going to be the best thing. All right. We're going to break. We're going to go. You're going to be in your little groups for about, 25 minutes. Talk about 12 and talk about what, and I'm going to give you the rules, children, about what your voice is going to come up here and say, representing your table, about what process you went through today, what conclusions or questions you got, if any. And what I've done is I've put commitment chairs up here, although that's not really necessary because we know you're all committed. And but it's in this because Terry's going to tape your responses. The fact of the matter is you are part of this workshop. It isn't just me. What you got out of this is the other side of this. And both voices in a relationship need to be heard. Your voice needs to be heard. So what we're going to do is there's 3 rows of 3. Is that right? 1, 2, 3 rows of 3 and 1 row of 4. I don't know why we had to do it like that, but apparently we did. And I don't know. It's just the way it is. We can't help it. There isn't any wrong way to do this. Whatever you do up here is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. So don't hear somebody up here share and go, oh my God, that's not what we did. That's okay. Each group is autonomous, and that's what you've been, so there's no wrong way. Okay. Yeah, don't.
I'm Connie Joan, and Joan, that's not my name. I'm Connie Jones, and I am a grateful Al-Anon member. Okay, we just came up with random thoughts and little sayings, and just that's how we did it. Table number 1. Number 1, the tradition 1, we came up with unconditional love, reporting our feelings and not expecting others to take them as their own. For 2, we came up with balance, service, and riding the tide. 3, it's my choice and only my choice to grow and change. 4, it's all about me, being the best I can be. 5, live and let live. No relationship will ever work unless I learn to be a healthy giver. 6, learning to come to a conclusion about relationships. Are they right for me or not? 7 is the I am, the truth is, the Spirit is telling me, being responsible for my thoughts, feelings, wants, needs, and boundaries. 8, asking for help. I can't be everything in a relationship, and neither can they. Number 9, reporting my feelings and then letting it go. 10, gossip breaks down communication. 11, if you are true to yourself, it will be attractive. And 12, principles are a constant in our lives, whereas personalities come and go. Thank you.
That's very touching, Connie, but I didn't focus on the 12. We just did the last one. I thought that's what we were supposed to do, but you did a good job. Can I copy it? Anyways, yeah, we did. We kind of discussed the last one in a little more depth, and which is the Tradition 12, and about the spiritual foundation, and kind of treating the program, kind of knowing the balance, whether it's you're doing it for a self, like they call it a selfish program, and am I being selfish, or how do you get out of self, one of them kind of things. And, we were kind of sharing our experiences on that, and I think, I don't know what we came up with, really. Why did you make me do this? I knew I'd choke. Anyways, no, you know what? Actually, our little discussion turned out pretty good. And we were real clear on the idea that, I think the reason that it becomes difficult for us to define self from selfish, or selfless from selfish, see, that's a mouthful, isn't it? Is because we have that old behavior of it's all about me. So that's kind of what we came up with, that you have to kind of get out of yourself and kind of be open to others. And let's see, what else did we do, girls? Come on, help me out. I think that's it. Thank you.
Well, I'm Jennifer. Hi, Jennifer. We totally didn't do it the way anybody did so far. We went around and kind of what we did was we did each person, and we sort of talked about the things that really came out and struck us. And we want to tell you that the table that I sat at, we all admit that we gossip. We had a long discussion about gossip and what is and what isn't, and we all realized that we all do it. It kind of sucked. I really hate that, And then the other thing was the hula hoop concept. We really liked that everything outside the hula hoop is outside issues, and that really clarified what is an outside issue personally for all of us there. And then we concluded that if we change our reaction to unacceptable behavior, it changes the pattern. And that was a real aha moment for a couple of us. And then God is a principle, not a personality, and that he doesn't judge me, I do. I don't have to wrestle forgiveness from God or myself. And then what does it mean to fit myself to be of maximum service to God? And we decided that was being myself. What I feed it the night before is what I wake up with, and changing my nighttime habits of what I feed that committee before we go to sleep, that was a biggie. And then Jeff, in his 10 words or less, Is it critical that I be right? He did it in 10 words or less. That was amazing. It was really cool. We had a lot of discussion you guys missed out on. It's really hard to condense it. And then doing thoughtful things anonymously, looking for approval for that. And you can't make me feel that way unless I already feel that way inside. That was a big aha. And healthy relationships being free and giving, and it's not about what you get from a relationship. And then acknowledging, and then we talked all about that thing at nighttime and acknowledging our successes, because we talked about how too often we spend all that time just beating ourselves up, and I'm sick, and what a piece of crap I am because I don't do this right. And we can even do that in Al-Anon. So, and then the worst thing I can do is work on a relationship. That was a biggie. Huge. And then the prayer that she said in the very beginning, don't put anything in my life until God can be first and I can be me. And we talked about how that was, I haven't prayed that, I won't pray that prayer. She knows that. We've talked about that before. So, and that was pretty much it. We just kind of went around the table, and I think, and there was a lot of discussion about a ton of stuff that, the gossip thing was a big conversation. So we had a lot to talk about. So it was really good. Thanks.
Good. Next row. You guys can go, and the next row can come up while she's talking.
Next. Hello, I'm Monica. Trouble was I took notes now. I can't damn well read them. But anyway, that's got nothing to do with it. A relationship with a non-presence can still be rewarding as long as you don't have any expectations. And people felt that their family's common welfare came first, but I try and put this in the first person. I need to do what I need to do, keeping my own agenda. And there was a distinction definitely between can't, because can't is sometimes I can't, and it's different from I won't. What I say can be used against me. Oh yeah, I can feel that one, so keep your mouth shut. Don't you have anything to say? Yeah. I need to have the desire to be in the relationship. Oh, that hit home. I don't want to betray people's confidentialities, but there were a lot of fight and flighters on my table, Just want to run! Force of habit, reflex. Relationships aren't equal, and a scorecard is so tempting. And it isn't about the relationship, it's about me. Oh yeah, don't work on the relationship. That was very important to us. And what is my part in this? To work on myself. Relationships can change, let them. Oh God, don't leave me. I'll try not to hyperventilate. I don't know. Take away everyone else's agendas and the answers come. Wow. That was a lovely one. Then you get feedback from self and the answers coming through you, not from you. But I don't want to make any unpopular decisions because I might not be liked. And decision-making is it's not a comfort level, therefore they are to be avoided at all costs. We recognize that. Because everything's supposed to be just fine, okay? Then somebody came up with, you press the same buttons, and where the behavior got more radical, that was a great comfort to us. Oh, yeah, okay. It gets worse before it gets better. That's cool, I hope. Live behind the belly button and have boundaries. And somebody liked "the spirit is telling me" rather than getting writer's block with the journaling. And again, answers coming through us, not from us. Sponsors are the window on the world, and they can mediate between you and your higher power when your higher power is just so damn blind they can't see the facts, you know. And then somebody came up with giving is wonderful. It gives you power and control. I like that one. You know. Opinion is not fact, and it's okay to disagree. Gossip is a difficult habit to drop because it's a way of feeling included. And we can get so focused on wanting to be heard that we don't listen. And somebody said that their child said, "Why do you keep saying, 'oh,' so much?" Which, you know, I went through a stage, and hopefully continue it, of having it one of my favorite words. When you're just so gobsmacked to say anything else, "Oh" is good, you know. Really. And when you let go of political issues or hot buttons, it frees up so much more energy for positive things. And unfortunately, I cannot personally control or change the world and its issues, but I can change myself. Stick to things I can make decisions on, should I ever have the misfortune to make a decision, like taking care of myself. Denial, what is reality? New denials come up all the time, and that's when we decided we needed to know what was really going on inside ourselves. Message is delivered so loudly that it's difficult to hear it. Words are very important, but somebody came up with, I listen to the words, but sometimes when the body language is totally opposite to the words, then I use my perceptions to figure that one out. And not internalizing the message personally was a big thing for us. Principles above personalities. Infighting, judging, and passing sentence is an addiction. Yeah. I am not my higher power, and my higher power is not limited by my imagination. Selflessness. When this is a selfish program, and I remember feeling, yeah, but you know, you will have to be good, don't you? And selfless. I cannot mend anyone's spirit. My own spiritual recovery must come before the needs of others in many cases. But doing things for family can be spiritually nurturing. But I must practice self-love, or I can become unreasonable. I know this is hard to believe. I stop being responsible for myself and I lose balance. That's what we felt in the table. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Katie. Hi, Katie. Thank you for coming. I'm really happy. Actually, this is true. I went home at lunch and called my sponsor and said, I need to do a 4-step. So I really need to, yeah, that's good. We talked about tons of stuff. We're like best friends. I want to call them all when we leave. But I'll just go really quickly. A lot of people said a lot of this stuff already. Being right versus being happy. This one resonated with me. I can be a healthy participant regardless of the other person's ability or willingness to participate in a relationship. I love Al-Anon. Don't take others personally. Let's see here. What's my business and what's not my business? It's like the hula hoop. I end here, you start there. How important is it? Like that I heard because my mother went to Al-Anon, so I've been growing up with that. Let's see here. the stuff about being on the job and asking God if I'm being of service any longer at this job. And that's really a good issue. And the prayer, God, don't put anyone in my life unless you can be first and I can be me. And what you said about, being me, when I'm me, I can best be of service and carry God's message. That never occurred to me. I always thought I'd be somebody else, really. And then loving kindness versus enabling. That's good. Let's see here. Oh, perfectionism equals self-abuse. That was good. And I'm going home to hire a bunch of special workers and counselors, doctors, a house cleaner, travel agent, and a dog walker. And we're just going to outsource the whole relationship, okay? And
what we're doing for the economy.
Yeah, fabulous. Stimulate Humboldt's economy. And then being flexible in relationships, I'll have to go to another conference to understand that. Gossip, we didn't talk much about that. And confront the issue, not the person. And then go in saying to them, you know what, I'm not angry at you, but I'm angry or I'm frustrated at a situation. That's really helpful. I am part of the FMMS club. Afraid I might miss something. That's plagued me all my life. Let's see here. Oh, and then the principles above personalities. I've inserted in my mind, after principles, God above personalities, because I didn't know that was, that God is God as a principle. And then our table really liked the listening as a tool. So thank you for coming.
Row 3, come on. Your turn, come on.
Hi, I'm Leslie.
Hi, Leslie.
And we did this a little different than anybody else. Of course we did, yes. And in our group, we were practicing being flexible in our organization, so I can help you out with that one. I know I heard at the beginning of this that come back and sit in your seat and here's your group. I swear I kept sitting in the same seat, but the people kept rotating around me. And I knew I had to stay because they'd appointed me the voice and there was just nobody else there. So flexibility was really our theme on that one. And as we really all agreed that it was very worth our time being here today, and it was definitely where we needed to be. And I think the theme that kept coming up the most for us and the strongest was the autonomy, being autonomous, and really getting to know who we were through the steps of this program. And we really had to do that before we could be part of the group. Especially if your group keeps changing, because that keeps changing your parameters, and how can you base who you are if so you just got to be yourself sitting there. And so thank you very much. That's.
Hi, I'm Joni.
Hi, Joni.
Well, we talked about a whole lot of things, but we didn't write too many down to share. We just talked about what we got from today, and the main thing was a lot of us felt like we didn't really have a reference or a working framework for going into more depths around the 12 traditions, and that was really a gift you gave us, Ellen, and it made the traditions a lot more personal and accessible. Before it was something like, well, you read the traditions, but what does that mean? So that was really, really a good and powerful thing that we all agreed on. And we talked about what will we bring to our lives beyond the conference, and it came up what's mine and what's not mine, and the idea of do I help others for fun and free? If it's a sacrifice, don't do it. And allowing people to be what they are as they allow us to be what we are, as we allow ourselves to be as we are. And also in reference to the traditions, someone spoke about that it was a powerful thing to have been introduced to using them as a format for journaling. And so then, I was just going to share one other thing that came up in one of our discussions around the question, how do you feel when somebody criticizes the way that you're living your life? And if you find yourself being told how to feel or what to do, someone said, they say, nevertheless, or regardless, or, so what's your point? Thank you.
My name is Nancy. I'm a grateful member of Al-Anon.
Hi, Nancy.
I actually arrived a little late and ended up sitting at what I'll call the far-flung table. I think we span about 400 miles from Willits all the way up into Oregon. And really it's amazing because, I came in, there was this giant group of people in here, I'd just been in the car, they're like, ooh, and it's just immediate sense of comfort, immediate sense of belonging. And it's because these traditions work in the traditional way that we've done these traditions. And by the time, by now, our table feels like a little meeting, even though we really have only just hardly been meeting. So it was just really, we all felt that the unity in the whole room was something that we mentioned. So we're not talking about what you talked about, just... She says it's okay. What's going on here? One of us said that it felt like a gift from God. That there were several of us who were newcomers. One person who's only been to 3 meetings, and she felt that there was just tremendous sanity at the table, and she really felt a tremendous amount of hope. She couldn't believe that people actually still lived with the alcoholic and could be sane. Someone else said that she felt that everyone was heard at our table, that there was a tremendous amount of honesty and trust. And then someone else mentioned, that there was she just said that it was really, really remarkable, the same newcomer. And a number of us left early, but which felt like the hole in the donut for a moment. It was a little bit confusing how we were going to choose who would speak. So I thought, well, let's just throw our names in a cup, and I got drawn, of course. So.
Anybody else? Is there anybody else? Any other table that has a speaker that wants to come? All righty then. You did good. You did really good. You did really good. We have your favorite part, however, is at 6, and that's the raffle. So you be sure and be back here for the raffle. And then I'll tell you the rest of the story like Paul Harvey at 6:30. Thank you.